You won't believe what went down in my neighborhood. An 8-year-old girl was struck in the head with a bat by a man pretending to be an HOA cop. The shocking part? He had no clue who her father was, but he was about to learn the hard way. Before we dive in, drop a comment telling me what country you're watching from. Let's see how far this story reaches. It all began on a quiet Saturday morning. I was outside working in my yard when I spotted a man pacing back and forth in a black vest with big white letters that said HOA cop. At first glance, he looked legit, clipboard in one hand, radio clipped to his shoulder. But something about him felt off. His car wasn't marked. His vest looked cheap, and the patch on his chest had frayed edges, like something ordered from a costume shop online. His name, I later found out, was Derek Miles. He wasn't on any HOA board, and he definitely wasn't law enforcement. He was just a bitter man who took it upon himself to police the neighborhood, handing out fake citations and harassing families. That morning, Derek's attention locked on the Sanchez family across the street. Their little girl, Maria, was riding her bike in front of their house, pink helmet bobbing as she giggled, trying to balance. She wasn't bothering anyone, just an 8-year-old enjoying her weekend. But Derek stormed over, barking at her about trespassing on community property. I froze, shovel in hand, watching it escalate. Her father, Daniel Sanchez, wasn't home yet, and her mother was inside with their baby. Maria tried to pedal away, scared and confused. That's when Derek snapped. He pulled a bat from the bed of his truck and swung, not at her bike, but at her head. The crack echoed down the street. Maria dropped to the pavement, motionless, blood trickling down her temple. My stomach flipped as neighbors screamed. I ditched the shovel and ran, but Derek didn't even flinch. He puffed up his chest like some kind of enforcer, yelling about HOA rules and how they would be followed. It was sickening. He actually thought he was in the right. By the time paramedics were called and neighbors rushed around, Derek was already scribbling something on his clipboard like it was just another routine job. He didn't notice the roar of Daniel's black truck barreling down the street. He didn't realize the man he had just crossed wasn't just Maria's dad. He had no idea Daniel Sanchez was a decorated detective with the county sheriff's department, a man who didn't take kindly to criminals, especially those who hurt his little girl. And Derek was about to find out in the worst possible way. Daniel's truck screeched to a stop so hard the tires left black streaks across the pavement. He jumped out before the engine cooled, badge clipped to his belt, his face carved with pure rage. He shoved past the crowd and dropped to his knees beside Maria. Paramedics had just arrived, carefully lifting her onto a stretcher. Her small hand dangled limp over the side. Daniel grabbed it, whispering, "Daddy's here, baby girl. You're gonna be okay." When he stood, everything about him changed. He wasn't just a father anymore. He was a detective whose daughter had been attacked in broad daylight. His eyes locked on Derek, who still clutched the bat like a trophy. "Drop it," Daniel ordered, his voice low but sharp enough to slice through the chaos. Derek sneered. "I'm acting under HOA authority." That kid broke the rules. I had every right. The words barely left his lips before Daniel lunged. In one swift move, he ripped the bat from Derek's grip and slammed him against his truck. "You laid hands on my daughter," Daniel growled, his face inches away. "You think some vest and a clipboard make you the law? You're nothing but a criminal." Neighbors gasped, phones raised, recording every second. Derek tried to puff up again. "I was just enforcing community standards. You don't scare me." That's when Daniel reached behind his belt, pulled out his badge, and shoved it into Derek's chest. "You should be scared because I'm not just her father. I'm Detective Daniel Sanchez, and you just assaulted a child, my child. If you're still with me, like and subscribe, because this story only gets better." Derek's face went pale. He glanced around at the circle of neighbors, every phone aimed at him, capturing the moment his fake power crumbled. "Wait," he stammered. "It was an accident. I didn't mean—" Daniel cut him off, barking at a deputy who had just arrived. "Cuff him, now!" The deputy froze for a second, then snapped the cuffs around Derek's wrists. Derek's voice cracked as he struggled. "You can't do this to me. I'm with the HOA. I have rights." Daniel leaned in, voice razor sharp. "You're not with the HOA. You're a fraud in a costume vest. The only right you've got now is the right to remain silent." The crowd erupted in murmurs, half disbelief, half grim satisfaction. For months, Derek had harassed families, trespassed on lawns, issued fake fines. Now his lies were ripped wide open in front of everyone. But this was just the start. Daniel wasn't only going to arrest him, He was going to make sure Derek paid for every ounce of terror he'd caused on that street. And Derek was about to find out just how far a father's wrath could reach. Daniel pinned him on the curb until deputies shoved him into the cruiser. Derek's cheap vest and fake badge lay in the gutter, covered in dirt and shame. Neighbors who once kept quiet now stepped up, giving statements, handing over videos, pointing to months, even years of harassment. The truth unraveled fast. Derek wasn't an HOA cop, there was no such thing. Under 18 U.S. Code 912, impersonating an officer is a federal crime, and striking an 8-year-old with a bat? That's felony assault with a deadly weapon, a charge no judge could ignore. Daniel stood tall, badge gleaming at his belt. He wasn't just an angry father anymore, he was an officer securing justice. "Make sure the DA sees every second of that footage," he told the deputies. "And stack on charges for child endangerment and false authority." Derek thrashed in the cruiser, voice breaking. "You can't do this. I was protecting the neighborhood. I was the only law here." Daniel leaned down, voice calm but sharp as steel. "The law doesn't come from Amazon vests or bats swung at children. You're gonna pay for every lie, every threat, every bruise." The crowd cheered in agreement. Mothers who once feared Derek now spoke up. Fathers shook Daniel's hand. One man lifted his phone high. "It's live right now. Thousands are watching." Paramedics loaded Maria into the ambulance, her face pale but her pulse steady. Daniel climbed in beside her, gripping her hand. "Daddy's not leaving you," he whispered. "Not now. Not ever." As the doors shut, he glared at Derek one last time through the cruiser window. No more swagger. No more fake authority. Just a broken man weighed down by charges. Within hours, the sheriff's office released an official statement. Derek Miles, 42, was booked on multiple counts: felony assault with a deadly weapon, impersonating an officer, child endangerment, and obstruction of justice. His bail was denied due to the violence of the crime. Neighbors flooded social media with clips of the arrest. News outlets picked it up before sunset. The so-called HOA cop was exposed as nothing more than a bully in a vest, and his downfall went viral. In court, Daniel testified not only as Maria's father, but as a detective who had seen men like Derek before. Men who thought intimidation was power. The jury needed less than an hour. Guilty on all counts. Derek was sentenced to 25 years in state prison. Maria recovered after surgery and therapy. The scars remained, but the community rallied. Neighbors who once stayed silent became protective allies. In the end, those who abused fake power learned the price of pretending to be something they weren't, and the man who thought he could terrorize a child learned too late that some fathers don't fight fair. They fight to make justice personal, permanent, and unforgettable. Do you think Derek's sentence was fair, or should he have gotten more? Drop your thoughts below. I read every comment, and I want to hear yours. And if you agree people who abuse authority deserve real consequences, hit like and tell me, what would you have done if this happened on your street?